was warned. 3 times, he was warned. A soothsayer grabbed his arm in the street and told him the Ides of March would bring his death. His wife woke screaming from a nightmare, begging him not to go. A letter was pressed into his hand at the very entrance of the Senate. A letter naming every conspirator, every blade, every plan. He never read it. He tucked it under his arm and walked through the doors anyway. And the moment those doors closed behind him, the most powerful man in the world had less than 3 minutes to live. This is the story of Julius Caesar, a man who crossed rivers he was forbidden to cross, won wars that were supposed to destroy him, and built a power so absolute that the only way Rome could stop him was to put 23 daggers in his body. A man so feared by his own closest allies that they had to kill him together, because not one of them had the courage to do it alone. But here's what history doesn't tell you. Caesar saw it coming, and he walked in anyway. The year is 49 BC. Julius Caesar stands on the northern bank of the Rubicon River, a narrow, unremarkable stream that separated Roman Gaul from Italy proper. Behind him, 13 battle-hardened legions. Ahead of him, Rome. The Senate had sent him an ultimatum. Disband your army. Return as a private citizen. Submit to our authority. If he crossed that river with his army, it was an act of war against the Roman state. The penalty was death. Caesar hesitated, not out of fear, but because he understood exactly what crossing that river meant. He wasn't just breaking a law, he was breaking a world. And then he said the words that would echo through history. The die is cast. He spurred his horse into the water. His legions followed, and the Roman Republic, though it didn't know it yet, had just taken its fatal wound. To understand the Ides of March, you first have to understand what Caesar was. He was born into noble blood and almost no money. Rome in the 1st century BC was a city in crisis. Armies served generals, not the state. Political assassinations were common. The Republic was straining under pressure. And into that chaos stepped a young man who looked almost absurdly unsuited for power. Slender, prone to seizures, known for expensive clothes and scandalous affairs. His enemies laughed at him. They would regret that laughter, because beneath the elegance was something Rome had not seen in a generation. A man who understood power in its totality. Military power, political power, economic power, and how each one fed the other. But what happened next shocked everyone. When Caesar was appointed governor of Gaul in 58 BC, his enemies thought they had solved their problem. They were sending him away. Instead, he spent 9 years in Gaul and returned as something Rome had never seen before. A warlord with the loyalty of a professional army, the wealth of a continent's plunder, and a military reputation that functioned like a force of nature. He didn't just conquer Gaul. He crossed the Rhine. He invaded Britain. He fought hundreds of battles. And through it all, he wrote it down. By the time he crossed the Rubicon, he wasn't bringing home an army. He was bringing home a legend. The civil war was swift. Pompey fled. The Senate fled. Town after town opened its gates. At Pharsalus in 48 BC, Caesar defeated Pompey decisively. Pompey was killed in Egypt, and by 45 BC, Caesar stood alone. The Senate began heaping titles upon him. Dictator, then dictator for 10 years, then dictator perpetuo, for life. And this is where everything changed. He sat on a golden chair in the Senate. He wore triumphal purple every day. His face appeared on Roman coins. When Mark Antony offered him a crown in public, He refused, but he refused twice. And Rome began to whisper. A soothsayer named Sperina warned him, "Beware the Ides of March." Caesar laughed. Weeks later, he passed the same man and joked that the Ides had come. Sperina replied, "They have not yet gone." Meanwhile, the conspiracy grew. They called themselves the Liberators. Their most important member was Marcus Junius Brutus, a man Caesar trusted, possibly loved. Brutus believed he was saving the Republic. Cassius believed he was saving himself. And between them, they gathered more than 20 men. Wait until you hear what happened next. On the morning of March 15th, 44 BC, Caesar approached the Senate. A man named Artemidorus pressed a letter into his hand. It named every conspirator, every blade, every plan. "Read this privately and quickly," he urged. Caesar tried, but the crowd pressed around him. Petitions, greetings, requests. He folded the letter, clutched it, and walked through the doors. The letter was still in his hand when the first blade struck. The attack was chaos. The first blow struck his thigh. He fought back. There were too many of them. Blades collided. Men stumbled over each other. And then Caesar saw Brutus. Whether he spoke or not, history cannot agree. But he stopped resisting. 23 wounds covered his body. Only one was fatal. He fell at the base of a statue of Pompey. History has a terrible sense of irony. The conspirators expected celebration. They found silence, then fury. Mark Antony read Caesar's will aloud. Money for every citizen, gardens for the public. Then he lifted Caesar's blood-soaked toga and showed the wounds. Rome erupted. Civil war followed. Brutus fell on his sword, and a young man named Octavian rose to power. The Republic never returned. The assassins had killed Caesar. They had not killed the idea of Caesar. Here is what few remember. Caesar knew. Warnings had come from multiple sources. His wife begged him not to go. He dismissed his bodyguard weeks earlier. He knew the shape of what was coming. So why did he go? Perhaps because a murdered Caesar is more powerful than a living one. He walked into that chamber with a letter naming his killers in his hand. He never read it. The die was cast. It always had been.